Hey guys, it's Rick back for Pixi Dust Design today, and we are going to create a fun card using some of the new products from the March release. We are going to be using the It's Party Time stamp set, It's Party Time Pixi Cuts, and You're a Cute Tea party pad. You can see the puns everywhere. All right, this is a fabulous paper pad. I picked out my pattern. I've stamped out my designs, the images from the stamp set onto some black cardstock and some white pigment ink, and I'm coloring these with some acrylic paint markers that just came out not too long ago. So I've picked out some colors that have matched my paper, and I'm just going to go through, and I've started out with the lightest color, and I'm coloring in now with my mid-tone. These are opaque markers, so it's pretty easy to color on the black paper. I'm just going around all my little lines. It's not the most best tip for this, I would say, but it does work. You can get around all the little spaces. So I've colored up my little cup, and you can see I have colored up my little teapot over there for the most part. We're still going to add some more to it. I'm coming in now with my shadow color and adding some just shadows in there, and I'm going to come back in with the lightest color and add in my highlights. This is just the same little light pink that I'm just adding in highlights with, and I've kind of drawn in the little mouth. I'm going to come back and add some more details to that later. I'm just filling in the handle of the cup now. I've decided that I'm going to make this a coffee, so I'm coming back over on the teapot, adding my little highlights. I think I'm using the white marker at this point. I like these are great too if you want to color on black cardstock. I decided the little tongue needed some color, so I'm coming back in and added that. Now I'm going to come back in with the white marker, add my real highlights, and I will end up adding more highlights at the end with a gel pen, but this works for right now. These do dry back a little bit, so it takes a little while. It takes a little while to get the color on. Not color, but you have to build up to the colors. And you're not blending as completely as you would, like, say, with acrylic paint. It's a little bit different. But it does make a great effect. I'm coming in now with a yellowish marker. I was going to make it a very creamy coffee like I like. I like more cream than coffee, really. I know, it's funny. All right, so I've got it in a little bit darker color there, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to darken that up a little bit more because I'm going to end up not liking it. So I've colored in the little eyes. I'm going to color in the little steam with the white paint pen. I'm going to add some more highlights because, as you can tell, those have already dried back. And I'm going to give them little blue eyes. But all in all, this was super easy to do. And I really enjoy playing with this new stamp set, the Par-Tea Time, P-A-R-T-E-A stamp set in Pixi Cuts. They were super fun to play with, and I really had fun coloring up the images to match the pattern paper. So I'm coloring up my little croissant now, and I'm going to color up my little cake. I decided I wanted chocolate cake. I must have been craving chocolate cake this day. That I filmed this because I was really enjoying that chocolate cake. I really would like to have some chocolate cake right now, y'all. I know y'all with me. All right, so we're just going to come in with our brown color. And then I've decided I'm going to give it a purple icing. So I've got 3 different colors of purple markers. One's a light. I'm filling in everything right now with the lightest color of purple I have. And then I'm going to come in with a medium tone and add in just a little bit of shading with that. And then I do come back with a darker tone and add just a little touch of dark to that. I'm going to blend that together. You can blend these. There's one thing about these markers. You can blend them pretty well. So now I'm coming in just adding some little shadows. And I'm going to put a little grape filling in between the little slices of cake. I decided I wanted that, and so I'm coming in now with my darker brown color on my croissant and putting in the shadow color. Alright, so I've putting in my little shadow colors. I'm just kind of going around where the line of the stamp was, and I'm going to come in with a slightly darker marker and blend that out. And then I come back with my lightest yellowish color, lightest yellowish brown color, and add a few highlights in there. And then I'm going to come back over to my cake because that has dried a little bit, and I can add a little bit more detail and highlights to that. For my little tea bag, I just filled it in with this fleshish color marker. It's kind of like a cream color. I just filled the entire thing in with that. And then I came in with the tag and filled it in with yellow. I kept going back to my paper and picking colors that matched my little rainbow scallop stripe paper that I picked as my background. I'm going to come in and color in one of the little spoons with this mint color. And then I'm going to color in the other one with just a little aqua blue color. I think it's the same color I use for the eyes. Well, it's a little bit lighter than what I use for the eyes. So I'm just going to fill that in. You can see how nice and opaque these are. And I'm just going to add a few highlights with the white marker. And I'm going to add a few more highlights around on my other objects to just add that in. And then I'm going to cut those out with the matching die Pixi. It's Par-Tea Pixi Cuts. And that's a mouthful. So I'm going to cut down my piece of pattern paper from the You're a Cute Tea pattern paper pad. It's a 6x6 pad. I'm cutting the stripe pattern down, and I just used the reverse side for the other pattern. I'm going to cut down my matte layer, and you can see I cut a circle out of the center. I was planning on doing a circle focal point on my card, but once I got into this and started laying everything out, it wasn't going to fit, and I wanted to put as many of these cute little images from the It's Party Time stamp set in that I could. So I've just layered up my pattern paper onto my matte layer, and I'm going to add that to my card base. This is the top folding A2 size card base. And I'm going to take my other pattern. You see it's just the reverse. I'm going to trim it down just a tad. It was just slightly a little too big. I think I ended up cutting it down to 1 3/4 by 5.5. And I'm going to come back in and add some liquid glue behind that. And I'm going to pop that on just the card front to the left-hand side. And then this is where I've started. So you can see I've ink blended the background. This is where I started layering this up and decided that it was not going to work when I started laying my little pieces out here. It was going to be way too small, but never fear. We're going to use this on another card coming up in the next week or so. So I'm making my decision here, and I've decided I've ink blended another panel off camera and just did it bigger. That way I have more room to get everything on there. So I'm going to start laying out my little images, making sure everything will fit. And I'm going to take and add this into my Misty in just a second so we can stamp our sentiment. So I'm just going to pop my little panel in there with my little sky and the little grass. I'm going to put my sentiment on right up there in that little cloud. And I'm going to stamp this in some black ink. This is VersaFine Onyx, VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. And I'm just stamp that down because it gives me a nice, pretty black impression. We're going to add this also to a black mat so that we can pop this up on our card. Do I pop it up? I can't remember. I think I just cut it down. So we're going to lay out our little images here. I'm going to start by arranging my teacup and putting hair on there. I think she's just a darling. And then we're going to do our little cup that matches. I did those in the same colors. So we're putting our little teacup on there. We're building our little scene. We're going to add our little tea bag. I do end up going back and popping him up a little bit. I decided it needed a little bit more pop. So some of these I'm gluing straight down. Some of them I'm going to put on with foam tape. Just a little bit behind them, like my little croissant here. I'm going to give him just a little bit of lift, and I'm going to pop him up with just a little foam tape. I do use a couple different layers of foam tape so we get some added dimension into it. Our little spoon here, we're going to take one of those, and we're just going to tuck it back behind in between this croissant and the little cup back there, and we're going to add our little piece of cake. that is just so yummy looking right onto our card after we pop it up. So we're going to use, I believe that was 1 millimeter. The first one I used, I think, was 2 millimeter foam tape. So it had a little bit more up, was higher than the other one. We're just going to tuck our little cake in between our cup and our little teapot, and that finishes off my little design. After I stick in my second little spoon here, we're just going to add this to the front and just right down there, tuck it in. And then I come back and stick in a little piece of foam tape right behind our little teacup, or our little tea bag teacup. I'm going to add liquid glue behind there, our little focal image with our sentiment in. It says, you're my cup of tea. There's some great punny sentiments. If you like puns, this is a great set for y'all. I mean, it has all kinds of cute little puns. So I've kind of pulled off that. I'm going to add a little liquid glue. And I'm going to cover up my little boo-boo right there. We're just going to scrape that off. And I will hide that with my little tea bag. I'm just going to scrape off the little excess. Hide that right under the little tea tag. And there you have that down. Now I'm going to come in. I'm using a black Secure Koi jelly roll pen, and I'm adding in, filling in their eyes with just a little black, so it gives it a little bit more pop. And then I'm going to come in with my white gel pen and add in some highlights. So we're just going to come in and add a few more highlights. You can see from where we added the white highlights with the paint pen that they dragged back a little bit. So we want to add just a little bit more white opaqueness to it. So we're going to add those few little extra highlights right there. And I'm just going to go around and add highlights to all my little images. And I talked about this in another video where how I had my highlights. And then I'm going to add some Stardust stickles to give us some of it a little glitter. So we're adding glitter to the spoon, to the tea bag top, the steam, the icing on the cupcake, and a little bit around on our teapot. And we're going to add some glitter into our little croissant. So now I'm going to come in with a piece of pattern paper that was left that matches our front, and I'm just going to attach that to the inside of my card so it ties everything together. We're going to trim off the excess, and there's my card. And if you need any of these supplies, you can find them listed below. Here's a look at the card, and I will see you guys in the next video. I appreciate your time.